Wow, good evening, everyone. I am going to have to download that chat for Bill at Plaza Grill. We're getting lots of good reviews on the food over here. It's great to see everyone. I'm here to kick it off tonight and welcome you all to our 10th annual PI Research Celebration. We're here tonight, of course, to celebrate HSU's research community and the amazing work that you do all year round. Of course, we'd love to be together this evening to highlight all of the past year's accomplishments together, but we're so thankful that you could take the time to Zoom in with us tonight. Hopefully by now you've grabbed your dinner and drinks, again, courtesy of our friends over at Plaza Grill. And how about those cookies? A shout out to Cleo Trucks of the Barefoot Baker who put those together. So hopefully you enjoyed them. Right now, we're ready to get going. So to start off our program, I would first like to introduce our Provost and Vice President of Academic Affairs, Dr. Jen Capps, who's going to join me here to welcome all of our guests to this evening's event. Dr. Capps, great to see you over there. All set?
Hello, how's it going, everybody? Thanks so much for including me in the celebration today. And I am so excited to be able to share in your accomplishments and celebrate y'all today. As principal investigators, staff, student researchers, your contributions are exceptional and worthy of celebrating each and every day. I wanted to take a moment to acknowledge the HSU-sponsored Program Foundation, all of the staff, and specifically Casey Flynn, the executive director, for her consistent and steady leadership in making HSU a thriving campus with engaging research. So maybe we can give her a round of applause, some chat love, something like that. That would be amazing. So thank you, Casey. Wanted to say a quote that resonates with me is that research is formalized curiosity. It is poking and prying with a purpose. And this is from Zora Neale Hurston. And the reason this quote resonates with me, and it makes me think of HSU, and the reason for that is that I'm often struck by the curiosity on our campus. The word I think of is willfulness, the willfulness to ask hard questions and complicated questions, and the commitment to research in service of society to solve real world problems. You all do that each and every day, and it's reflected in all of the cool research that we're going to hear about this evening. Through these research collaborations between faculty, staff, and students, our students gain real-world hands-on experience that benefits them now and in their future careers. So let me just take just a few opportunities to brag about y'all just a little bit before the stars of the evening are honored and we get to learn a little bit more about the excellence in research occurring at HSU. Despite the lingering pandemic, this has been a groundbreaking year for HSU with regard to research. It's amazing how much we continue to accomplish. There were 301 proposals submitted during the 2020-2021 academic year, requesting a record-breaking and jaw-dropping $84 million in funding. We were awarded 183 new awards totaling $30 million. And my quick penciled math says that 61% of our awards were funded, which is pretty darn amazing. The total revenue generated was almost $38 million. There was $2 million that went to scholarships and stipends, over $5 million that went specifically to support the educational mission of our campus, to programs like social work, our TRIO grants, and our Hispanic serving institution STEM activities. Super cool stuff. And despite HSU's small size relative to the other many of the other CSU campuses, we sit 7th in the system with regard to research dollars with aspirations for growth. That's absolutely incredible. So job well done. Thank you all for contributing to one of the many reasons that makes HSU an exceptional place to live, learn, and work. Back to you, Casey. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you so much, Dr. Capps. It was great to hear from you, and we're so thrilled that you could be here with us tonight. All right. So before we welcome some of our other guests this evening, we'd like to take a quick moment to present a few awards to those in attendance tonight. So bear with me as I queue up a slideshow. All right. At this year's research celebration, we are continuing our tradition where we take a moment again to celebrate your major milestones in external funding. And go. Members of our $1 Million Club are those principal investigators who have brought in over $1 million in funding while at Humboldt State University. This award recognizes those outstanding individuals whose cumulative funding has reached or exceeded $1 million and beyond. First up, we'd like to acknowledge those PIs who were previously inducted at one of our past events. And specifically, a few of those past recipients have now moved up into higher tiers within the club. So please join me in congratulating Rose Francia, who moved from the $2 million to the $5 million club this year, as well as Amy Sprouse, who moved from the $5 million to the $10 million club. We'd also like to recognize Arnie Jacobson and Ronnie Swartz for moving from the $10 million into the $20 million club this year. And finally, a nod to Kristen Johnson, who is redefining our club tiers and is quickly on her way to 100 million or beyond before we know it. So we will continue to make club tiers because we have such successful principal investigators, and it's so important to recognize and to congratulate and celebrate you. So thank you. And again, kudos. And the entire staff at SBF want to offer that congratulations again for your continued success. And tonight, brace yourself, buckle in. We have the pleasure of welcoming not one, but 14 new principal investigators to the $1 Million Club. So our congratulations this year goes to, get ready, drum roll please. First up, Dr. Erin Kelly of Forestry and Wildland Resources, new to the $1 Million Club, joined by Zuka Hulis, also of the Forestry and Wildland Resources, and you're going to see them in just a little bit during one of our TED Talks. Next up, we have our own Betsy Wilson, Director of the HSU Children's Center, joins our $1 Million Club, followed by Bill Trush, Adjunct Professor in Environmental Science and Management. Congratulations, Bill. Next, we have Don Arledge, the new Director of the California Center for Rural Policy, joining the $1 Million Club this year, followed by Jeff Kane, Forestry and Wildland, and the new director, or the director of our new Fire and Science Institute. Congratulations, Jeff. Richmond of Environmental Science and Management joins our $1 Million Club. Followed by Dr. Sean Craig of Biological Sciences. Congratulations, Sean. Rosemary Sheriff of Geography joins our $1 Million Club this year. And Susan Marshall of Forestry and Wildland Resources. So all 10 of those are joining the $1 Million Club. The next few people up have joined but jumped into the $2 Million Club from the get-go. So first, I'd like to congratulate of our co-op research unit joins in the $2 million this year, followed by Dr. Margaret Lang of Environmental Resources and Engineering. Next up is Marisol Cortez Rincon of Anthropology and co-director of the Cultural Resources Facility. And last but certainly not least, Angela, also co-director of the Cultural Resources Facility. Wow. So congratulations again to all of you, both the new 14 and our total $1 Million Club of 44 principal investigators on this campus. We want to congratulate you and look forward to celebrating with all of you again in person when it's safe to do so. All right, now to the main event. As has been the tradition, our research celebration is a time to showcase the scale and scope of research and creative activities at Humboldt. We're excited to bring you tonight 4 quick TED Talk style presentations from our PIs across the different campus divisions. These are meant to offer a quick snapshot into their funded research and scholarly work. Throughout the TED Talks tonight, if you have a question for one of our presenters, please use the Q&A function at the bottom of your screen. We're going to try to select 1 or 2 questions to ask our presenters at the end of each slideshow as the time allows. So don't forget the Q&A. So let's get started. First up is Dr. Erin Kelly and Dr. Lucy Kahulis, Associate and Assistant Professors from our Forestry and Wildland Resources Department and brand new inductees to that club, joined by Stacy Giraldo, an undergraduate student in Environmental Science and Management. Good evening, Erin, Lucy, and Stacy. It's great to see you all. All right, you have the floor. Take it away.
Thanks, Casey. Thanks for the introduction and thanks for inviting us. So I'm Erin Kelly. I'm an associate professor in the Forestry and Wildland Resources Department. And I'm here with my colleague, Lucy Kahulis, who's also in the Forestry and Wildland Resources Department, to talk about a project that we've been a part of called Redwoods Rising. This is a project that's a unique partnership between the Save the Redwoods League, which is a nonprofit organization that's dedicated to, well, first to preserving redwoods and then to restoring redwood forests on the North Coast. And the other partners are the Redwood National and State Parks, which are the landowners in this case, and the College of the Redwoods. So the context of Redwoods Rising is this historical depletion of old growth redwood forests through commercial timber harvesting. So over 95% of the original old growth coast redwood forest was harvested, which is a huge loss in several ways. So second and third growth forests have shorter, more densely spaced trees. They have lower biodiversity, and they're lacking the many threatened and endangered old growth associated species. They also have lower carbon storage capacity. And I don't actually see Lucy.
Oh, I'm here.
There you are.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is where the Redwoods Rising Apprenticeship Program comes in. So the parks, they want to do a ton of restoration to try to fast track the development of old growth conditions in second growth stands. But because redwood is so shade tolerant, second growth stands could take centuries to self-thin. So large scale mechanical thinning treatments are needed. And over the next 30 years, Redwoods Rising is planning to thin 70,000 acres of second growth redwood forests in the region. But the parks aren't really staffed to make this happen. So they need a larger on the ground workforce to help implement, survey, and monitor the efficacy of these treatments. Essentially, they need more elbow grease. And there are a lot of students that need to gain hands-on work experience. So it's really a win-win where the parks get a lot of help during the summers, and then students gain valuable field experience and also a ton of professional networking exposure with agency employees as well as a nonprofit organization. And so pretty cool. Over the past 4 summers, we've been able to offer 53 student apprenticeships. And the type of apprenticeships that we offer and also the number of students that we hire really vary depending on park needs. So we've offered forestry, botany, hydrology, wildlife, and watershed rehabilitation apprenticeships. And then this past summer, we started an interpretation and outreach apprenticeship, which was pretty cool.
And the apprenticeships have involved both HSU and College of the Redwoods students starting in 2020. We started including CR students. The students on a day-to-day level, they work with the Redwood National and State Parks crew leaders. And one of the coolest things that we've heard about from the students is this sense of camaraderie that they develop as they often, they're camping together, they're sharing their field experiences, and they're kind of teaching each other about what their jobs are like. And they're also even, in some cases, they're able to try out each other's jobs on sort of individual days. The students also develop some presentation skills. So they do brown bag lunch presentations at the end of every field season. They do presentations for on campus for the next cohort of apprentices. So these informational meetings as we're recruiting new apprentices. And they get a lot of professional networking with these folks. And a number of the apprentices have gone on actually to work with the Redwood National and State Parks after their apprenticeships. So we're really lucky tonight to be joined by one of our apprentices, Stacy Giraldo. She apprenticed twice actually in 2020 and forestry in 2020 and hydrology in 2021. And Stacy is also a mom. And we think this is super important to make paid internship opportunities available to students who might otherwise not get to do field work. So I'm going to hand it over to Stacy.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, so I'm Stacy. I think for me, one of the most meaningful things to me as a student was just being able to apply my classroom experiences out into the real world. And I think Redwoods Rising has done an amazing job at giving students an opportunity to get that hands-on experience while also making connections and like networking. And it's just been an amazing experience. And I think lastly, another like meaningful thing to me was having crew leads that let us make some decisions, and also they challenged us and gave us constructive feedback, which I feel like at the end it has definitely improved my work skills. So yeah, this is an amazing apprenticeship and program that HSU has provided for the students, and I hope that it continues for a really long time so that other students have this great opportunity as well.
Awesome, thanks. So we just want to thank really briefly the Save the Redwoods League, the Redwood National and State Parks, and of course, Sponsored Programs Foundation and all the apprentices that have participated over the years.
Wonderful. Thank you all so much. Couple of questions. So this is the second year of the program. What do you hope to do going forward? Is there going to be a year 3, or where do you envision sort of the next steps being with something like this?
I think pretty long term, kind of sort of indefinite at this point. So we've had 4 summers so far, and we have meetings, sort of in the pipes for starting to plan the 2022 apprenticeship program.
Yeah, we have 2 years that we partnered with CR, but as HSU has participated for 4 years.
Thanks. Another question from the chat. What is hydrology and how does that connect to forestry?
Stacy, you want to take that?
Sure. Well, to me, I feel like hydrology means like knowing about the local watersheds in our forest, and being able to like know the tools and resources to create like restoration plans for the watersheds, which includes, like aquatic life and species and the trees and plants around these water systems. And I feel like that ultimately connects to the health of a forest. And I think if we have like a healthy water system and streams and fish, then we essentially have like a healthy forest, and we can like help grow those old redwood forest characteristics that we want.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stacy. It was great to hear from all of you. And I want to just wrap up by saying a little bit of a plug, because today, actually, the Redwoods Rising video just launched of our film series. Our wonderful videographer, Will Goldenberg, put that together. And so it just got posted to Humboldt social media accounts and our YouTube page today. So if you want to see a little bit more and see some other interviews and some live shots from the program, definitely go and check that out. I thank you again to all of you. It was wonderful to have you, and I'll let you get back into our virtual audience as I welcome up our next speaker. Great to see you. All right. That was fantastic. Next up, as we get back to our audience, we have Nicole Jean Hill from the HSU Art Department, who's going to be here to highlight how her research led to a beautiful recent publication. And we're actually planning to highlight some of the prints that you might see tonight from her new book in our SPF front office very soon. Hi, Nicole. See, you're getting settled. There you are.
Here I am, sorry.
No, you're perfect. You're all set. You can take it away.
Okay, thank you. Let me get this going here. Okay. So my work so I'm Nicole Jean Hill. I'm a faculty in the art department, and my work is on sort of a research archive project on the work of Laura Webb Nichols. And Laura Webb Nichols, over the course of her lifetime, made 24,000 photographs and had 65 years worth of diaries. And she lived in a small town called Encampment, Wyoming. And her work was sort of languishing in obscurity in Wyoming, and I had caught wind of it and went to go to try to see it, and it was not publicly accessible. So since 2013, I have worked with the family to make Laura's work available to the public. That early work, starting in 2013, I didn't even know what was in the archive because I couldn't see it. So it took about 3 years before I could finally see the photographs, but I knew that most photo archives of that era, like a big archive, would be like 4,000 photographs. And this was 24,000 photographs. And also the history of women in photography usually follow a narrative that women photographers were wealthy women with a lot of time on their hands and money to burn. And Laura lived most of her life in abject poverty as a homesteader in rural Wyoming. So all of these things together just made me know that what this was incredibly special to the history of women, the history of the West, and the history of photography. So I received funding with the sponsored programs help and a lot of help from Erica Wright to get funding for a monograph of Laura's work once I was actually able to see what the archive was, as well as an exhibition. So the book and the exhibition, I had a lot of help and got funding for students to help with this, including the restoration of the images because the work was, from several years ago, and we did a lot of restoration work on the files with Photoshop. I also had an engineering student help me develop a software program to link the metadata with the images so that we could put this, all of this whole archive online. To kind of just give you a little overview about what makes this archive really special. Because of Laura's time and place in history, this was a mining town in the early 20th century. She photographs a lot of the intimate lives of the girls and women and children in that space, daily rituals, braiding hair, house chores, things of that nature. Photography wasn't cheap, so it's kind of noteworthy that she would spend her time with her camera documenting these things. So it's a really interesting visual window into the past. Including an image like this, which would be incredibly rare for 1906, of a woman breastfeeding. This was Laura's neighbor. And so she just had this really sort of intimate window into these people's lives and used her camera to document that for several decades. Also included in the archive, which is really noteworthy, is the way that she also documented illness. And she documented people with TB. She documented all kinds of ailments, and this was her husband recovering from the flu of 1919. So recently, during this pandemic, we've seen images of illness during this era, but usually in larger institutional settings and hospitals and things like that. But Laura has pictures of this kind of thing from the home and from the domestic space. She was able to support her photography by doing work for the local mining companies when they were in the region. So she also has a lot of industrial photographs and then photographs of the miners in and around the mines. She also, this is another kind of important part of sort of her later photo career, was she also worked as a photo finisher. And so she developed photographs for other people at her Rocky Mountain photo studio from 1925 to 1935. And what's really particularly noteworthy about that is that she saved the negatives of other people in the community. And so the archive is also this interesting window from other people's viewpoints, including a lot of the Civilian Conservation Corps workers that came through in 1933 to work in the area. So they would drop off their photographs to her to develop. She would give them the prints, and then she would save their negatives. So it's this kind of really amazing history of the laborers of that era. So my work is basically, I had the book came out in February, and the idea was for the book and the exhibition to act as an entry point for people to explore the rest of the archive. So people interested in photo history or mining history. So my work has been to develop the website, the book, and the traveling exhibition. The traveling exhibition is now kind of on tour for the next 4 years, which is really exciting, throughout the US and Budapest, Hungary, oddly enough. And the book has gotten a decent amount of press, which is really exciting to see. So it's sort of been picked up by the New Yorker and a bunch of media outlets in Spain and France and the UK. So it's kind of exciting to see this, archive that was completely hidden in 2013, and now see that it has sort of found the light of day and is accessible to the public. And part of this for me is just part of a movement towards a more comprehensive and inclusive visual history of everything post 1839, after photography was invented. And I'm actually looking forward to curating more shows with the archive and another book. And I'm going to be working with students in the Museum and Gallery Practices program on campus to help hopefully get more funding and more opportunities to get this work out into the world. And that is it.
Thank you so much, Nicole. We have lots of questions. First off, where and how do I get not just a copy, but a signed copy of your book?
You can get that website, www.laurawebnichols.org. That is where you can do that.
Wonderful. And we can drop that in the chat later. What was your personal favorite photo that you came across, and why? What was the story behind that?
Well, I wish I'd had it in a slideshow, but I will just explain it to you, and then maybe if people are curious, you can find it on the website. But she has this whole collection that she did of collecting other people's photographs. And there are all of these pictures from like 1910 of these young, like 13, 14-year-old girls going on camping trips out in the woods just with their friends and just taking a bunch of like selfies and pictures of each other. And it's just this amazing, it's like amazing to think photographs that they were making in like 1904, 1906 look exactly like what you'd see on like Instagram today of people taking pictures at that age. So that is kind of my favorite thing, is just seeing the young girls playing with their cameras and having that in the archive.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much. You have a lot of fans, and I think a lot of people are excited to scroll through the photos on the website. So thank you again, Nicole, for being here and being part of the event. And again, we can't wait to have a print in our front office for everyone to see. All right, next up, it's my pleasure now to introduce Dr. Ho-Yi Won, an assistant professor in our wildlife management department who specializes in spatial and landscape ecology. And Ho-Yi actually has hit the ground running. He joined at HSU in just fall of 2020. Ho-Yi, it's great to see you here tonight. Let's give you a second to get on camera and to get going. Hi.
Hi.
All right, I'll let you take it away.
Yes, let me be sure I'm sharing the right screen.
All right, you got it.
So I want to start by just showing you the projects that I've been working on around the world. All my projects have a very applied focus. The species that you're looking at here, all of them have some sort of management or conservation needs. And what I do is I try to do models, spatial and statistical models, to help analyze their habitat, their connectivity, and their gene flow, and what are some drivers that are causing changes in those things that I just talked about, such as climate change, disturbances, land use change, those sort of things, and wildfires. So I want to focus more tonight on the things that are occurring locally. And I'll do that by showcasing some of the students that I've been working with right now. So Ashley Harper, she's a fantastic graduate student. She's currently working on a project trying to understand the effects of land use and habitat connectivity on the movement of the Roosevelt elk on the north coast of California. So she's fantastic, she's amazing, super intelligent. Another graduate student, Logan Heisen, he is working on a project that try to improve forest health and resilience under climate change using multi-scale habitat connectivity and fire risk models with the assistance of UAV, so drones. And this topic will be similar to a project that I want to highlight later on in my TED Talk tonight. So it's about forest health and resilience. Daniel Nayeri, he is a graduate student from Iran. He had a rough time just to try to get here, but he's finally here. Came to this country back in August, and she's been adapting to the environment and getting used to everything. And he's also very smart. He already published a few papers in scientific journals, and his master thesis is on using landscape dynamic simulations to model the habitat and conductivity of the Mexican spotted owls and how it responds to future fire regimes and climate change scenarios. I'm very grateful that he's in my lab right now. And there are also some undergraduate students who are working on different research projects. So Jose Rodriguez, he is majoring in wildlife management and conservation with a communications minor. He's amazing, like he developed this project with me and even apply and receive some funding to conduct this research. It's called Condors and Redwoods Ecological Research. The acronym is CARE. It's kind of catchy because we all care about the environment and the species. So Jose is working very closely with the native Yurok tribe because they're going to be releasing some condors over the tribal land. And Jose will be documenting that, doing some spatial models, but also his interest, his hobbies in movie making. So he will be making a documentary to document the cultural and ecological significance of the condors around here. So that's super cool. And Kelly Crouch, another graduate student, is amazing. She's also majoring in wildlife management and conservation, and she is doing a minor in natural resources and geospatial analysis. And for Kelly, her project is on gender equity and inclusion in wildlife sciences. She works super hard. She has reviewed a lot of papers documenting the authorship of the paper, trying to see whether they're female or they're male, and just trying to get a sense of how wildlife sciences is in terms of promoting gender equity and inclusion. And later on, we'll also be doing some social studies, like sending surveys to those authors to identify potential barriers in research in wildlife sciences. So super happy to be working with Kelly. And one project that I also want to talk about, so this is in the works. We just received some funding to get this going. We hope to be able to obtain even more funding. So this is a project titled Stimulating Investment in Sustainable Forest Products and Forest Health, and is led by a group called Cal Forest Works Alliance, which I'm a part of. Just to briefly talk about the impetus of this project. So there are some threats around us that is affecting the sustainability of the environment and also the economy and also our society as a whole. And the cause is Aaron and Lucy just sort of showed some picture of the understory. So we're having an overstocking of small diameter trees and biomass, and this can lead to some direct impacts, such as increased fire activity that we have been seeing. It's partly due to this, but also due to climate change. So a lot of fire in California is raging through habitat of wildlife species and also human properties. And there are also indirect impacts because of that. So there have been studies showing that, as a result of all these things, like the economy has been impacted, and there are also jobs are lost because of that. People are moving away, or even their health issues, both physical health and mental health, due to lots of complex interactions with the environment. So the Cal Forest Works Alliance was established to support the sustainability of the environment and the economy. And it consists of a diverse group of stakeholders, and the Cal Forest project extent, or the coverage, spatial coverage of the project is this yellow large polygon on the map, and the green also. So it's around here. So the boundary, you can see it's the darker brown boundary is Humboldt County boundary. So it extends a little bit beyond that, because for the forest, it's not, it does not follow the jurisdictional boundary, right? It extends beyond that. There are lots of people on the group, and I'm just showing you some of them. So we have people from the U.S. Forest Service, we have people from the County of Humboldt, we have some environmental consultant, and we also have lots of industry partners who specializes in mass timber products. And I am part of the research team in this alliance. So the objective is to promote sustainable communities, economies, and landscapes. We hope to reduce severe wildfire risk from small diameter timber and biomass harvest on both public and private lands in Northwestern California. And by doing so, we hope to unlock opportunities to generate diverse streams of revenue from forest resources that are currently of low value, because those small trees, not a lot of manufacturers know how to use them, but we have identified industry partners that know how to use them, but at the same time, we don't want them to just cut everything, right? So that's where I come in. I built some models to identify the benefits of this harvest, both in terms of ecological benefits and also economical benefits. And these are some of the projected benefits from this project. We already mentioned reduced fire risk to wildlife and humans, increased carbon sequestration, improved water and air quality, increased jobs, and also create new demands for innovative forest products. Also forget to mention, so these products, most of them are gonna be used for building low-income, affordable housing. So it's a holistic approach to do this. Just very briefly, like the methods can get very complicated, but there's a conceptual model showing you the basic approach that we're doing here. So I'll be looking at a lot of different forest restoration scenarios, treatment scenarios, and I'll fit them into what we call a conservation capitalization spatial model. And that will give us two things. It will show us the ecological benefits, such as identifying location where fire risk may be reduced, and also trying to look at the market feasibility, trying to see if it can balance the budget, right? Which is very important. And then we'll use those results and then feed it back to a forest restoration scenarios, just to keep improving the ways that we conduct this. And we'll consult with our industry partner closely to see whether it's been working, and we'll adapt from there. And we've already received letters of support from a lot of organizations. I couldn't find all the logos for all of them, but yeah, we have people, organizations from the state, from the county, from local industries, from federal US organizations such as the US Forest Service. Just very exciting. It's very exciting. Lots of things are going on right now. And I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to talk with you.
Thank you so much, Hou-Yi. That was fantastic. We do have a couple questions that we have time for. The first one, could you describe the forest products you anticipate being generated by restoration projects?
Oh yeah, I did not have time to showcase them all. There are a lot of products, like it's really cool, and I think some of them they're still trying to get the patent, so some of them I can't show you anyways, but I can briefly mention some of them that I've seen. For example, they have these, they call them cassette panels. So basically, for example, imagine we have the tiles, right, on a floor, but instead of just having a flat tile, like there's actually like empty space in between them, so you can like put your wires through them, and yeah, that can save the wood that you actually use, and also save the wiring that you need to use to go through your building. So the production cost of the house can go down. So that's just one of many products. There are also other products that I've seen the industry partners have shown. But yeah, unfortunately, I cannot show you all of them tonight.
Thank you. And also, is there a consolidated plan to work on mitigating or lowering the biomass issue facing many of our local forests?
Yeah. So, well, some of these plans, so they have some preliminary plans on where to harvest the trees, for example. But as I mentioned, we don't want to just say, oh, looks like it's going to work if we go there to cut the trees. So we want to use the models that like my lab is going to be developing to help inform those decisions. So we're going to build some maps to help inform the decision. We will identify locations of high fire risk, high conservation values, but also high timber value, right? So that it will work for both the environment and the industry.
Wonderful, thank you. And again, I just want to, highlight the fact that you've a new faculty that joined us in fall of 2020, and already you've submitted 8 routing proposals with us and gotten 5 awards. And so you've hit the ground running so much. I can't wait until you join the $1 Million Club, because you are fast on your way to getting there. Even one person put in the chat, how do you keep track of so many projects? You have so many different activities and students that you're managing. How are you faring, I guess, your first year, knowing that you're balancing so many great research projects?
Well, for one, I thank SPF, thank Casey and my pre-award specialists, Pia and Kaz. They're amazing. They're super helpful. I've been in other universities before, but like nothing compared to what they've been doing. So I'm really thankful for that. And I also have super smart students to keep me on track. So it's not really my credit, but I have wonderful people around me.
I think you did a great job highlighting all of the students tonight. Thank you for making that such a focal point of your presentation.
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Hoagie. I'll let you get back into the crowd. And then I will welcome up our next speaker, and last but certainly not least, I would like to welcome Dr. Amy Sprouse, Professor of Biological Sciences and a Principal Investigator on some of her most successful hands-on research programs at Humboldt. Hi, Amy, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Casey. Thanks for inviting me, and it's an honor to present with all these incredible panelists. I really appreciate the opportunity to learn about all these wonderful projects on our campus.
All right, I'll let you take it away.
Oh, one moment, please. Okay, great. Well, again, thanks everyone. I really appreciate the opportunity to update you on our new CERN Bridges 3.0 program, which is a collaboration between HSU, CERN, and multiple biomedical research centers that's designed to provide pathways for HSU students interested in careers that address unmet medical needs. As a faculty member who has advised HSU students interested in the biomedical sciences for 13 years, I've spoken to hundreds who are called to careers that will help their family and friends manage debilitating diseases. Unfortunately, in medically underserved communities like Humboldt County, it can be challenging to simply acquire the medical care required for conditions with well-established treatments. As we all learned in the COVID-19 pandemic, it is even more difficult to navigate life when adequate treatment options are not available. California Stem Cell Agency, the California Institute for Regenerative Medicine, or CIRM, was created by voters so California could accelerate stem cell treatments to patients with unmet medical needs. Why stem cells? Stem cells have the potential to replace, regenerate, or repair damaged cells, tissues, or organs. CIRM funds the research that we hope will lead to treatments and cures for a wide range of deadly diseases and the training of the future scientists and clinicians able to do this important work. Over the last 12 years, over 100 HSU students have been trained in the HSU CERN Bridges program. 39% of those participants were from racially minoritized groups, 39% were first-generation college students, and 43% were from low-income families. And although only 10% entered HSU College Ready in both math and English, many have gone on to pursue postgraduate degrees. These students have participated in the development of 98 treatments for over 40 different diseases that are being tested throughout the clinical trials process, which means the therapy is moving from the basic research bench to the patient's bedside. One of these clinical trials is testing the ability of a stem cell-based therapy for insulin-dependent diabetes patients. You're looking at a picture of the Encaptra cell delivery system. The capsule is filled with pancreatic progenitor cells derived from a clinical grade stem cell line developed by HSU alumna Sarah Downey Mills. Preliminary results from the STEP 1 clinical trial show the device is safe and well tolerated when surgically implanted into the lower back of diabetes patients, just underneath their skin. After engraftment, the implanted cells survive, proliferate, and mature to cells capable of producing insulin and other regulatory hormones that the patient's pancreas cannot. The study has shown that Encaptra protects the cells from rejection by the patient's immune system, and that clinical trial is currently ongoing. Sarah led the team of scientists who created the VCO1 cell line that makes this therapy possible. She was hired right after she completed her HSU CERN Bridges internship. Sarah's success illustrates how her undergraduate training at HSU and the HSU CERN Bridges program prepared her for this career. Our new HSU CERN Bridges 3.0 builds on this history and expands the impact of the program to benefit our local community. It will fund an additional 50 HSU undergraduate and graduate students. The program is co-designed by myself, lecturer Bridget Blackman, associate professor Jenny Capuccio, Intercept Director Nivita Bueno-Watts, Professor and Pre-Med Advisor Jamin Zhang, Assistant Professors Catalina Cuellar Gempeller and Oscar Vargas, the Humboldt Del Norte County Medical Society, and researchers at our internship host institutions. Now, before I go on to describe the program, it's really important to note that Humboldt County's entire biomedical science community benefits from these partnerships. The relationships with our host mentors have grown over the years to include regular research seminars at HSU, guest lectures in HSU classrooms, and grand round presentations to Humboldt and Del Norte County physicians, who also provide shadowing opportunities to our pre-med students. The research collaborations inform the signature classroom undergraduate research experiences that are the hallmark of our upper division cellular and molecular biology and biochemistry courses. They have also allowed hundreds of undergraduate students to participate in research projects, and there are even collaborations that support graduate student thesis projects. After piloting 3 Masters of Science projects with Stanford and UCSF researchers and UC Davis, we are pleased to launch a full Masters of Science track in CERN Bridges 3.0. My new graduate student, Alyssa Payton, is our first 3.0 graduate student. She will join another 9 students in the HSU CERM Immersion when the program begins this coming summer with CERM Immersion. Dr. Bridget Blackman coordinates the activities which are offered during the first HSU summer session. HSU professors and research scientists from our host institutions introduce the trainees to foundational principles and current topics in the fields of stem cell biology and regenerative medicine. They also provide one-on-one training in the best laboratory practices and research methods of the field. We are especially excited about the new workshop in bioinformatics and computational biology that's been designed by Dr. Cuellar Gempeller, Dr. Vargas, and Dr. Aaron Newman, an assistant professor of biomedical data science at Stanford University. In addition, the trainees are mentored through the internship application process, so they can start their 12-month paid internship on August 1st. This is a full-time mentored research experience in a research laboratory focused on stem cells and other critical topics relevant to understanding and treating a human condition or disease. HSU students may intern in a laboratory at the Stanford Institute for Stem Cell Biology and Regenerative Medicine, the University of California Davis Stem Cell Program, Cedars-Sinai Medical Institute, the Gladstone Institute at UCSF, and the biotech company Takeda, California. During this time, the students are mentored through research and career development activities by Dr. Blackman, Dr. Capuccio, Dr. Watts, and myself. The students are enrolled in HSU courses that guide them through the stages of research project design, execution, analysis, and communication. Other activities provide additional training and professional development, like an advanced cell techniques course and training in good clinical manufacturing practices. At the end of the internship, the trainees present their work at the annual CERN Bridges Symposium. Another important dimension of the internship is learning about the personal struggles and public health challenges that come with navigating unmet medical needs. Humboldt County is a federally recognized medically underserved community, with a majority of the zip codes in mid to highest need of addressing severe health disparities. Near the end of their internship, all the interns return to HSU to participate in activities designed to better educate them on the health concerns faced by people of Humboldt County. In return, the interns will teach the greater Humboldt County community about stem cells and the promise of regenerative medicine. The interns will interface with the local physicians, public schools, and present information at community events coordinated by Dr. Jenny Capuccio and Dr. Caroline Connor of the Humboldt Del Norte Pre-Medical Education Task Force, or HUMPET. The students will also present the results of their research projects at the annual HSU CERN Scholars Symposium. It's always inspiring for our campus community to learn about the students' projects, their experiences, and their future plans. In the meantime, you can learn more about the program at our website. So thank you so much for allowing me to present this to you today.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Amy. That was fantastic. All right, a couple questions. So there is a CERM 1.0, 2.0, we're on to 3.0 now. How has the program evolved over those years? What changes have you seen and where is it going?
Yeah, that's an excellent question. Our first CERM program launched in 2008. And at that point in time, it was really an incredible collaboration with faculty and staff in the Department of Biological Sciences and mathematics and chemistry, and even psychology, to quickly leverage the incredible work that had been done previously on our campus through other funding mechanisms that support undergraduate research and the facilities that were in place to support those projects. And we were able to pull together to get murine stem cells growing in the lab. I spent many hours getting that up and going. And the exciting part about that first cohort of the first couple of years is that the students were actively engaged in helping launch the program. So as I was trying to troubleshoot how to get things going, they were right there beside me, either in the cell culture lab, in the biotech lab, in the core facility, which had an incredible role in really bringing community together around this project. I'll never forget that when CERN first announced the funding awards, we had two of our most enthusiastic students, in fact, Sarah was one of them, watching in the core facility. And we pretty much had a party after we found out the results. So it's been really fun just working with the students over the years. And as things have grown and the science has evolved at lightning pace, it's really wonderful to continue to enjoy that excitement with the students and watch them as they move on to their future careers. And so I guess I would say, in terms of where we're going in the future and something that's happened over the iteration of these 3-2 awards, we now have an incredible number of alumni who are actively engaged in connecting with our current HSU students. They're all over the world doing amazing things and are always happy to join on a Zoom call to talk to our current HSU students. So, and I'm hopeful that that'll now continue with our local public schools.
That's wonderful. And that's such a great highlight to be able to share how much CERN, affected their time at HSU and kind of their career paths. You highlighted one in particular student and kind of her contribution to the project in the slides. Are there any other highlights? Because there's so many amazing students I know that have gone through the program, exciting things and careers that they've gone into that you might be able to share.
We have lots of great outcomes, and we do have a spotlights page on our website, and I can't keep up with the spotlights page. I mean, we have a former student who's chief resident at Harvard Children's Hospital in pediatrics. We have lots of different students that have gone on to industry. But I would say the student I'd like to highlight is one that just completed the program last year, Megan King. And she went to one of my research collaborators' labs at Stanford and was working on the role of a very basic protein in regulating scarring in lung tissue. And as you might imagine, while scarring in any tissue of a body is always damaging and can be debilitating, scarring in the lungs can be incredibly devastating and almost impossible to overcome. So she was working in a mouse model system, and then all of a sudden the lab shut down by COVID. Were shut down by COVID. And that research lab was able to pivot immediately to use that model system to understand the cardiorespiratory impacts of the COVID-19 virus. And so that was really fortuitous and it transformed her experience. Megan is now a first-year medical student at UC San Diego Medical School.
Oh, that's so fantastic. Thank you for sharing. Amy, again, it was a pleasure to have you. Thank you so much for presenting tonight, and I'll let you get back into the audience. Thanks again.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right, folks, that is the end of our night. Again, I want to sincerely thank you all for tuning in with us and sharing in the celebration. I really think that it's important, now more than ever, to take these types of pause moments and just enjoy each other's company, albeit virtually, but still together. And to just hear about all the fun and interesting things that are happening on our campus. Tonight was just the tip of the iceberg. So these were 4 examples of over 630 projects that are being administered at Humboldt through the Sponsored Programs Foundation. So if you're excited, if you're leaving tonight feeling inspired and energized and proud to be part of the research community, so are we. And whatever role you happen to play in contributing to our student success and to the success of the research enterprise here, we thank you. And we look forward to celebrating our 11th annual celebration next year in person. We have a lot of partying to make up for. And so that will be a great time to get together. We hope you can all join us for that as well. So again, thank you all. Be safe. Have a great rest of your night. And we look forward to seeing you soon.
How lucky can one guy be? I kissed her and she kissed me. Like the fella once said, ain't that a kick in the head? The room was completely black. I hugged her and she hugged back. Like the